This podcast is sponsored by Sahara Dry, the solution for grip. Gymnastics pushes the limits of human performance, but our sport is not as advanced as our bodies. Chalk has been used for over 100 years. Sticky hacks like syrup and honey belong in the kitchen, not on elite apparatus. Sahara Dry Elite Grip Gel is moving gymnastics to the next level. It's not chalk or glue, it's advanced nanotechnology, using a modified silica to absorb oils and repel sweat, giving you a stronger, longer-lasting grip. It has no powder, it's drier, and lasts longer, meaning less time chalking, fewer rips, and no dirty dust. Just serious grip that performs when it counts. Sahara Dry Grip Spray is a game changer. It's invisible, grippy, and equipment safe, and originally made for rhythmic gymnastics where residue incurs penalties. I've tried it and recommend it because it works. Sahara Dry is available exclusively at Nishoi, the Japanese gymnastics retailer and proud sponsor of the Ukrainian national team. Head to nishoi.com or follow the link in the show notes. Sahara Dry, the solution for grip, exclusively at Nishoi. A big thanks to Gymnastic Planet for supporting this episode. Gymnastics is a challenging sport, but having the right tools in your gym bag really does help. Gymnastic Planet is a leading manufacturer and distributor of essential training kit. They provide the best quality products, including world-class speed equipment, handguards, and chalk. They also specialise in club services like venue design, maintenance, and installation. Backed by decades of experience, from competing and coaching to club management, Gymnastic Planet aims to help gymnasts succeed and enjoy their craft. If you'd like to find out more, visit gymnasticplanet.com. In this episode of the Sam Oldham podcast, I'm joined by Luke Whitehouse. At the Paris 2024 Olympic Games, Luke was part of the British team that finished fourth in the team final, and he qualified for the floor final. And this year at the European Championships, he became the triple back-to-back floor champion, the first British gymnast ever to win 3 individual golds on that apparatus. Luke, thanks for joining, mate. You did it.
Yeah.
Honestly, mate, I was there watching in the studio, and I was just telling everybody, this is such a big moment, because to have achieved 3 floor titles back-to-back 3 years in a row on that apparatus where it's so easy to make a mistake, like just one step. You have apparatus like rings where the medals are decided by the landing on one dismount. Then to have like 6 tumbles, sometimes 7 or 5 or whatever it might be, and you do a lot of tumbles. Just tell me, after you got that medal and you walked off the podium, was there a moment of like, did I do that? Like, did I pull that off?
There definitely was. I remember going through the routine and then first 2 tumbles, like in my head I was like, oh no, I've thrown this away. But something just clicked in my head, like after that double twist, double front, I was like, I need to start sticking tumbles. And then, yeah, I don't think it'll really settle in to kind of how big that achievement is until I get older, or maybe when I retire. But yeah, it's just incredible.
That was amazing, mate. It was an amazing moment. And in that routine, Luke, you mentioned that there. When you make that switch and you're thinking, because it's hard to remember what you're actually thinking, and whether you're thinking or it's subconscious or it's just in the back of your mind or it's a thought. Did you make a switch and think, right, I have to try and stick these tumbles, or did they just flow and happen?
That's the first routine I've ever done where, on the double pike especially, in my head before going into it, I've been like, I need to kick out and try stick this. So I think, obviously, some tumbles are subconscious, but that one was definitely, I was definitely thinking about, I want to stick this. But yeah, normally going through a routine, when I think back to them, I can't really remember what I was thinking, but in that routine, I just remember before that 2.5 twist, I was like, right, I need to do this, start sticking tumbles, or like, I won't do the third time.
And for people listening, Luke, like, how rare is it in a training session that you would do a routine where you'd stick, 5, 6 of your tumbles? Because I think people watching back home think gymnasts do this all the time. But I guess when you're preparing, like in the beginning of a preparation, a lot of the time you're doing these tumbles to mats or you're rolling out, and it takes time to get to the point where you're ready to mentally start trying to stick tumbles.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of do like halves and maybe 2 tumbles in a go where you're sticking them. But when you first putting that routine together, you're going to have falls, you're going to make mistakes, and yeah, it doesn't just come straight away. You're not sticking the skills straight away, but I do a lot of kind of like, especially for my triple back, a lot of landings off a springboard and stuff like that. So that really helps.
And when you were like now in the aftermath, and we'll go right back to the start and we'll get into all of this. But I'm just really interested, Luke, because we've had so many of maybe the current generation of athletes are a little bit older than you, so they're maybe right in the middle of their career or at the end of their career, like sit and chat with us, and there's been maybe like a little bit of frustration that, okay, I've got medals at major championships, but where are like the sponsors? Where's the support? You've done really well and achieved something very unique and special, but you've had to do that 3 times in a row. And I imagine now you're starting to get a little bit of attention, and maybe there's sponsors coming in and all sorts of people wanting to be part of the journey.
Yeah.
Have you been surprised with how much it's taken to get to this point? What I mean by that is, I think as a young athlete, you maybe think, whoa, if I go to a Europeans and I win a gold medal, I'm the guy. Like, surely that's it. But actually, you know, in a way, it's taken you going to an Olympic Games, being in an Olympic final, 2 Olympic finals, and then winning 3 back-to-back golds to then get... Does that make sense? Do you understand the question I'm asking?
I think it is difficult. And you know what gymnastics is like. It's not a very viewed sport unless it is at the Olympic Games or the World Championships, compared to maybe athletics where you've got the Diamond Leagues and they're on every single weekend. So it is more difficult to kind of get the sponsorships coming in. But if you're doing it time and time again, like 3-time back-to-back champion, that they're going to start coming in. It might take a little bit longer than other sports, but I think, yeah.
You have to almost be, it feels like you have to almost be overwhelmingly successful. And maybe the mistake some young athletes make is that they reach that high level and then they take the foot off the gas.
Yeah.
Because they just presume, oh, I've got there now, so everything's going to come in. And maybe they forget sometimes what got them to the race in the first place and don't understand that, no, you don't have to just win 1. Yeah. You have to win 2, 3, 4 and do it over 2 or 3 years before you start to really reap the benefits of all of that success.
Yeah, I think you can do it once and maybe some people might think it's a fluke or whatever, but when you do it time and time again, like it's kind of undeniable.
100%. Yeah, I've just thought about that in the last few days, Luke, and almost like pieced together a lot of the conversations we've had on this podcast over the last 2.5 years now. And that really struck me that, yeah, to have done that 3 times in a row, like the first time any British athlete's done that, and I straight away had to look at, surely Max or Lewis is done, and they haven't. So it's such a unique achievement. It really is special, mate. And we'll come back to the routine and the build-up towards that later on in the podcast. But just for now, take me back to the start. Who introduced you to gymnastics in the first place?
So I actually joined an after-school club at my primary school, sort of Hebble, and that's where I met Andy Butcher, my coach.
Oh, wow.
So I've been with Andy since the beginning, which is kind of crazy. And then I started at a little club in Halifax called Diamonds, did all my junior career, and then moved to Leeds for kind of my end of my junior career, where I went to EOF and Junior Worlds. And then, yeah, been from Leeds ever since, and my career's kind of just...
Wow, so that, I'm hearing that, I hear that quite often now, and I don't know why it maybe surprises me, because I coach in that way like Andy did, so like I'll go into schools and do after-school clubs, and I always wonder, like, does this work? Like, is there anyone that ever goes on to then, because I'll try and like funnel them to like a gym club, or if I see someone with a bit of talent, I'll be like, oh, you're interested in doing gymnastics? I'll talk to the gymnastics club and see if you can go in. I always wonder whether that works, but, it was similar in that I think it was Harry, someone came into his school and he saw Craig do like an assembly, and you're saying there that Andy came in and did AFS. So it's nice for me to know that pathway works. What was it like training out? I've been to that gym in Halifax because I did one of my coaching qualifications there. It's a pretty good gym, but it's kind of in the middle of the valley, right? And it's locked away, and I don't really know of any other gymnasts that come from that gym, maybe that were at a high level. I don't know. Maybe you'll tell me. What was that gym like? What was it like growing up in that gym and the environment you were in Halifax in that gym with Andy?
Yeah, it's a really good gym. Jonas is from there as
Oh,
well.
really?
So
No way. Oh, okay, wow.
yeah, so me and Jonas trained together when we were younger, and obviously train together now. But
What's the age difference between you and Jonas?
Jonas is 19, 18.
Okay.
I think he's 18.
Yeah. So a couple of years.
Yeah. So, yeah, I just enjoyed gymnastics. I wasn't there to, I don't know, kind of thinking about the high level of gymnastics. At that point, I was doing a lot of different sports. I was doing athletics, swimming, football, tennis. It wasn't until I kind of got to 9 where I decided, like, I need to focus on a sport, and gymnastics was the one. And
when you're training there, how in touch are you with the GB team? Like, does it take a while for you to get some success that you start getting noticed? Yeah, it wasn't until I kind of moved to Leeds when I kind of got noticed. When I was at Diamonds, I was kind of beating the guys on squad, but I didn't get on squad till 2019, I think. So I was really late on squad compared to some people that have been on squad since the beginning. Do you think there's an element, Luke, of because you were in that gym and you were tucked away a little bit, and that's not slowed down your progress in any way in terms of your gymnastics, but maybe that slowed down the time in which it took you to get onto the GB team because you were just kind of out of the way a little bit and you weren't around it, whereas maybe if you were at Leeds, you'd have just been around that environment all the time and that would have been a natural pathway? Or do you think it purely just was on your progression at the time and you would have got picked up?
Probably a bit of a mixture, because there was 2 guys on squad already. Okay, younger than me. At
that gym?
Yeah.
At your gym, sorry.
But it wasn't until I moved to Leeds where kind of Andre kind of really focused on me and kind of took me through my junior career.
Right. And when you moved to Leeds, what was the difference between the 2 gyms and the environments?
I guess just the people you train with, you've got kind of Niall, Ash to look up to kind of know that if they can do it, then why can't I do it?
And around that time, obviously, so 2019 is around the time you moved?
I moved to Leeds in 2016.
In 2016, so you moved a lot earlier than that. So when you moved to Leeds in 2016, that's kind of the height of Niall winning his medal. Ash is still training and trying to compete. What was it like being in the gym around those guys? What environment was that like, and what did you learn from that?
Yeah, inspiring. You know, you're training with the Olympic medalist Ash Watson is incredible on high bar and P bar. So to watch them training, you kind of inspired, and you want to just be like them.
And what did you learn from them training and the way that they trained and the level and the technical gymnastics that they did? What did you learn from them, and what did that teach you about what you were going to have to do moving forward if you wanted to get to that level, Luke?
A lot of hard work and dedication. You got to put in the numbers. That's one of the main things, I think, in preparation for competitions. You've got to put in the numbers. You've got to put in the work to be able to go to that competition, put your arm up and fully trust that process.
And what was the structure like at Leeds? Because I always find it quite fascinating now that there are a lot of high-level men's coaches. And I always wonder, how does that work? Like, how does that dynamic work? What was it like when you first moved over? And did Andy come with you straight away?
Yeah, so Andy went over to Leeds, and then kind of a lot of boys from Diamonds went across as well. So it kind of mixed up Leeds a little bit. Not mixed it up, but kind of new groups were made. But I kind of fit in with the group that Dave had with Jake Johnson, Jack Stanley and Harry.
Yeah. And so in the early days, you kind of just went with that group?
Yeah, I mean, I've been doing Yorkshire squads there as well. And when the other 2 guys at Diamonds were at squads and Andy was at squad with them, I went over to Leeds anyway to kind of train with them guys.
So it was just kind of a natural progression.
Yeah.
And then you start getting onto the GB team and Andre's coming to the gym and they're seeing some talent. What was it like beginning to compete for Great Britain and go to national training camps? Did that feel like a step up?
It definitely did. I think in the beginning I kind of was like looking around like, do I actually belong to be here? But I mean, I definitely did. But yeah, I don't know. I think competing for your country, that's always a dream, and yeah, super special.
Did your natural talents and gifts, particularly for floor, and I would say the spatial awareness side of gymnastics, did they show from the get-go? Was that something that you were always good at, or is that something you kind of developed over time?
Nah, I think I was always pretty spatially aware on definitely floor, but I was never the most talented gymnast. But I think I always worked hard. I've always put in the numbers. And yeah, if hard work beats talent, doesn't it? So
Yeah. It's interesting, Luke, because you don't fit the typical physical build of a gymnast. You know, if someone says gymnast, you think like short,
yeah,
stocky. That's you probably think of a rings worker when you think of a gymnast, right? You're a bit taller, you're a bit slender, you're more like maybe Christian Thomas in terms of your build, but you look quite light too. How does your physical makeup benefit the sport of gymnastics? Like, what advantages do you have physically, and then maybe what challenges do you face that maybe a shorter gymnast or a smaller gymnast wouldn't? Because I don't think people look at gymnasts and see that if you don't know the sport.
No. Yeah, I mean, definitely, I think a lot of things from when I was younger. So I used to do like cross countries and stuff for like the endurance. So don't know if that's carried across, but I've got like fast twitch muscle fibers, so that definitely helps on floor. But then I've got obviously longer levers, so I find the rings a lot more difficult, which I've been working on. I'm getting stronger on that, but that's definitely one of the things that takes time. And then, yeah, just other little random stuff that you probably wouldn't think about, like on vault, your time to get your heels up. Obviously, if you're a short gymnast, it's quicker to get there. Just things like that.
Yeah, and where do you find those challenges now as a senior gymnast that's like developed into his body? Is it still, do you spend a lot of time on ring strength? Is it still a lot of that? Where are the areas that you are always, you know, feeling like you have to constantly like focus on and work on in a way that other apparatus and skills might come just a bit more naturally to you?
Yeah, like floor, it's always been pretty natural for me. But whereas rings and the strength, I've always had quite long legs. So from probably a young age, it's been the strength and the stuff like that that's probably been the most difficult. But other than that, I can't really think of anything.
And was there a point in time, Luke, where you started to get some floor success and you maybe... Was there ever a conversation around, right, let's focus on this because this is a real strength of ours? Or have you always been of the mindset, like, no, I'm an all-around gymnast, and if I'm great on floor, that's just a byproduct of, that's just where my natural talents lie?
Yeah, there's definitely never been a thing of like, right, you're a specialist on floor. That's never been the case. I think I've always been an all-rounder, and whatever happens on floor, happens on floor. But then when you do get the success and people put a label on you like, you're a floor worker, you're kind of like, oh, maybe I am, but no, I've been working really hard on my all-round, so definitely an all-rounder.
And how hard is it, Luke, to prepare for one apparatus compared to preparing for six? Because it's such a different like mental game. Because I would quite often, because I was a good high bar worker, I'd be competing in a final at the end of the competition, like right at the end of the day. And like mentally that was very taxing. Whereas like if I was doing all round, there wasn't as much time to get stressed and nervous because I had so much to focus on.
Yeah.
Do you prepare differently for like a floor final than you would to do like an all-around final in terms of your mental
terms of
preparation?
actually at the competition?
Yeah,
or...
like your mental preparation and almost the way that you experienced that week. You know, if you were to go out to a World Cup, because you've competed in quite a few World Cups, right? And you've competed in competition where you've not done all six.
Yeah.
What's that week build-up like, and is it different to, let's say, you're doing an all-around competition?
It definitely is different to doing an all-round. You obviously focus a lot more time on floor, like the little bits, sharpening the tumbles, sharpening the landings, compared to the all-round. Something I've definitely noticed this year is when I've been trying to work on high bar, work on P-bar to kind of get the start value up, kind of neglects the floor a little bit, which when you want to be great at floor, it's difficult, but yeah, I've made a lot of progress on high bar and P-bar, and obviously I've kept the floor how it is, so...
Yeah, that's interesting that. Like when you're competing against somebody that, maybe when you've got that pressure on your shoulders to win a gold medal, but you're competing against guys that just focus on floor, whereas you're trying to do all six and be a great floor worker. It's those like fine details where you can't spend as much time as maybe somebody else would.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially now, that's maybe one thing you're going to have to really... It's going to be a challenge for you if you're wanting to push all around, right?
I was asking Fabian about this last week, and he said, I was like, when you were doing it all round, how did you kind of stay on top of the high bar. And he was saying, like, because his high bar was that good, he could just go there and do it like that without kind of falling off and having to do more numbers. And it kind of resonated, because when I go to floor, I kind of can just bang it out and then just get on with it. So you're not actually spending as much time on floor as you probably want to, but you're still getting the work done.
And maybe, that's interestingly, do you think maybe your question there to Fabian was actually, is it okay if I just do 5 goes on floor and then carry on with the all-round? Because this is working for me right now, but I'm not sure whether that's right. Should I be doing more? Does that make sense? Or were you not asking that question?
That's not really what I was asking, because it felt like I was kind of neglecting floor.
Yep.
So I was asking him, kind of, did you spend a lot of time on high bar still compared to the other apparatus? And he kind of gave me a different answer from what I was expecting.
What were you expecting him to say?
I was expecting him to be like, yeah, I spend still more time on the high bar, basically.
Right, okay, yeah. It's when I was like right at the end of my career, I'd say the last couple of years, when I was, potentially what I should have done was specialised, but I was still like at heart for me it was always it was the challenge of trying to do 6 pieces. Like being the all-around gymnast and being able to do that was always like the thing that meant the most to me. But when I'd go to high bar, I'd do 4 goes or 5 goes, and I'd normally hit every 4 or every 5 goes, and it was just so efficient. And
that's what he said. He was like, I was just efficient on high bar.
Like, I'd have my warm-up go, I'd do my actions, I'd do a second half, I'd do a release warm-up, and then I'd show a routine, and I'd be off.
Yeah.
And it would be rare that I would miss a go. It would normally just be 5 goes, I'm off the bar. And so maybe that's what he was talking about. And then maybe that's how you do what you do. And I asked that question because I was thinking about, I think I asked a similar question to Rhys McClenaghan when we went to speak to him in March about pommels. I was like, what's the difference between trying to do an all-round and then being an apparatus specialist? And I think we saw it visually. When I watched him train, he was doing things that an all-rounder would never have time to do.
Yeah.
And that's probably some of the smaller details you get to focus on when you're just doing a floor final.
I think even I see that in the gym with like Harry. He just goes to rings, does his stuff, goes to vault, does his stuff, goes to floor, does his stuff. But then he's got time to do other things that maybe I wouldn't have time to do because I've got to go do the other apparatus.
Yeah, that's very interesting, mate. And is that your main motivation? And have you had that conversation with your coach? Is the drive now for the next? Do you feel like maybe, I'm sure you want to have global medals on floor, right? But do you feel like, okay, I've proved myself on this apparatus. I now really want to prove myself as an all-arounder. Is that how you're kind of looking at the next 3 years?
Yeah, I definitely want to win world and Olympic medals on not high bar, floor, sorry.
You do on high bar too, mate.
But yeah, I've been working on the high bar, my P bar, and all the other apparatus to benefit my all-round, but also benefit the team.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to just get on the team purely because of my floor. I need my high bar, I need my other apparatus to boost the team score as well.
And when you're sitting here now, halfway through the first year of the Olympic cycle, are you already looking at that Olympic Games in 3 years' time and strategically going, what apparatus do the team need? Who can I see being in contention, and what am I going to have to do to be on that team?
I think that's what you got to do. You got to look at the team and you got to see where you fit in. So maybe I can do floor, I can do all round, but what pieces am I going to be put up to do a 3-up, 3 to count in?
And that's where the focus is, Luke. It's like, okay, in a 3-up, 3 to count situation, I want to be someone that my teammates and the coaches are going, we'll put that guy up 3-up, 3 to count. And is that the difference between... Do you think that's almost a maturity of once you've got on the team, that's the way you have to think once you're on it? But actually, until you've got on that team for the first time, you kind of... It's almost like a less risky place to be, right? You've got nothing to lose at that point. But once you're on, you then have to think, how do I keep this spot?
Yeah, exactly. Because just because I've been to the Olympics, I've got all my European success, that doesn't automatically mean that I'm going to be on the team. So you've got to prove yourself time and time again. When
you go back to those first big junior internationals that you did, What did you learn from those experiences in 2019? Because, you hadn't had that much international experience up until that point. And I think you're, 16 or 17? Would that be about right? In 2019?
2019. Yeah, 17, 18.
Okay, so even a little bit older, so 17, 18. What are you learning in those experiences at EOF and then the junior worlds that you then take with you into your senior career?
I think definitely for the junior world championships, I remember going to there and I was like, wow, like this is a big comp. And I think it's just dealing with kind of the pressure and expectations as to kind of go out and do your job. But at the same time, when I was that age, I wasn't thinking about that. I was still kind of going out there and just enjoying it, not really thinking about what other people kind of expected.
And in that competition, did you feel like I can compete with these guys? Like I can get to the level that everybody else is doing? I imagine at that competition there were Japanese gymnasts there, Russian gymnasts still there,
Yeah.
right? So were you in that and you were like, I can be here? Did it give you a confidence boost then moving into as you transition to becoming a senior?
I think it did, definitely. I mean, I wouldn't be there if I wasn't able to compete with these guys. But the gymnastics they were doing was still miles better than what I was doing, so I still knew I had a long way to go. I don't think I was the best junior gymnast compared to kind of the gymnasts in the other countries, or even in Great Britain at that time, to be fair.
And then just take me through your 2020, 2021, and what that did for your career that point in time. I mentioned before we went live, we just had Jamie Lewis on the podcast. And for him, it was like quite a pivotal moment. I think he could have gone one or two ways during that period. What was that experience of the lockdowns and not being in the gym and not having competitions to focus on, so you could really focus on like the building blocks? What do you look back now in hindsight and think that period did for your career?
I think definitely a lot of things mentally. And I had a pommel in the back garden, doing stuff on the pommel, going out running and stuff like that, kind of keeping the fitness up. No one really knew when we'd get back into the gym, like how long it'd take until we got back into the gym. But yeah, I don't actually know.
Do you remember was it easy for you to get up and do the training every day?
No, definitely not. I think I definitely had to force myself into kind of doing conditioning, doing the stretching, doing the pommel, and then we also had like live
sessions.
Sessions with Leeds and Great Britain squad.
Because I think at that point in time, probably for a lot of people, if you were in a club with a lot of gymnasts, gymnastics is an individual sport, but you do spend time training with a group, so you're not really on your own. But for the first time, you were stripped of a coach, teammates were gone, there was no gym, it was just you, and you had to train.
Yeah.
And there was probably two athletes during that period of time. The ones that could work and were self-motivated and self-driven, and the ones that couldn't, and they needed to be pushed by somebody else. And I think those ones that weren't probably really struggled during that period of time, and then when they came back, maybe never put it back together again.
Yeah.
Would you say you were the type of athlete that was always self-driven, would go out and do the work, and maybe that made a big difference in then the success you went on to have 22, 23, and then the last couple of years?
Yeah, I think I have always been quite self-driven. It's, at the end of the day, I wouldn't do it if I didn't enjoy it. So, yeah.
And then when you come out of COVID, Luke, and Olympic Games takes place in 2021, where's your career in 2021 when things start opening up again and you start competing? Are you a senior at this point?
Yeah, so senior gymnast, done my first World Cup, my second World Cup. I know my first World Cup after COVID, actually. That's when I became the first British gymnast to compete at triple back somersault.
So so did you start preparing that before COVID or not? Was it after?
Honestly, I can't remember. I think
because that's quite a quick turnaround.
I've done it to the pit and stuff when I was back at Diamonds, but I think I must have been working it before COVID.
and then you pick that up, and then because one thing I really struggled with in COVID when I was still training and doing stuff was like when I got back to the gym I got a really bad back because I'd realised after the first lockdown that lasted quite a long time you couldn't replicate jumping on a floor or jumping on a springboard.
Yeah.
So the second time, can you remember when there was that small lockdown in the November? I'd jump on concrete.
Oh really?
And my back was fine when I got back.
Yeah.
So it's interesting that you came out of that period. And then at that point, pretty quickly, then competed a triple back and were physically prepared to go and do that. Maybe
the running and stuff like that maybe helped in lockdown just to keep with the joints and stuff with that contact. But I don't know whether it's because I was still kind of a young gymnast that it didn't affect me maybe how it affected others.
Was there anything that when you came back from that period of time where you'd been out at the gym that physically you found difficult to get back? Or did you come back pretty quick and things feel quite good?
Yeah, from what I can remember, I got back in the gym and it all felt quite natural. It didn't really take much for me to kind of get the skills back or anything like that.
Probably just felt fresh, right?
Yeah.
It's so funny that in gymnastics there's these old, like, you can't take any time off. Like, if you're out for 2 months, it's going to take you 4 to get back. And then we just had a whole period of COVID where it just literally destroyed
felt
all of that thinking.
And
everyone came back and they're like, oh my God, I feel great.
Yeah.
I should have a rest more often. Just tell me about that first World Cup then, Luke. At that point, are you already showing signs of what you're potentially capable of on floor? Is that why you're being selected to compete on floor?
Yeah, so I went out there to do floor. I think I actually qualified in second, which was pretty surreal. And then I think I fell in the final, but yeah, it was an incredible experience, and just the history of competing that triple back is in the history books now. So that was kind of the main goal for that World Cup, to kind of do the triple back. And yeah,
it's funny, isn't it? Because people make a massive, and I do it too. Like, I'm guilty of the same thing. You make a big deal of it. I think it's because for so long that skill just was never performed. It had been performed quite a lot in the 90s, and then it just went, nobody did it because it wasn't really worth it. It wasn't valuable. And at the point at which you started doing it, it still was very risky. To perform that skill, I often thought, well, why is anybody going to take a 3/10 deduction for cowboying? So you obviously combated that by trying to do a really tight tuck. Just how difficult is it to do that? Because to perform a handspring double front on vault, for example, with your knees really wide, it's a hard vault, but you can pull it round and mechanically you can almost cheat it.
Yeah.
But then to see someone do a handspring double front with their legs nearly together, everyone looks at that and goes, whoa, that's impressive.
Yeah.
So how difficult is it to do a triple back with your legs close, because you obviously can't pull your legs wide to generate that momentum?
To be honest, I find it easier to pull in on a double back with my legs closer together than wider, whereas on a double front I feel like I can pull them wider. But
okay,
I don't think I ever thought of it really to cowboy it. It kind of just naturally happened with my legs closer together.
And did you practice doing a lot of triple backs on trampoline when you were a kid? Is it like something that you'd always wanted to do, like do a move like that?
Not that I can remember, but it's definitely one of them skills that you have to build up, build a spatial awareness, start on trampoline, go to the fast track, go to the tumble track, do it to high mats on floor, do it from the floor to maybe a pitted landing, and then the day comes when you've got to do it.
What did that do, Luke, for you? Preparing that skill, competing it for the first time, doing it. How has that benefited you moving forward now that gymnastics, particularly in this code, has steered towards very difficult skills everywhere, and you are now, it's just commonplace for people to be doing triple back off rings, triple back off high bar, vaults people are trying to do. There are more and more people starting to do pike dragolescus, looking at full in back out. I'm seeing people playing with it won't be long till someone's doing a Yurchenko double-double. Like, all of that's coming. What did that do for you psychologically, going through that process of preparing a big skill like that? Now, when you, let's say, try and do a triple pike on the high bar, do you go, oh, I know the process, I've done this once before, I just follow that process and it works that way?
Yeah, a little bit. And I think just doing the numbers on floor, doing them 3 rotations, it kind of feels the same when you maybe go to rings or do go to high bar. The feeling of when to kick out. So they kind of all work together in a way.
For people like watching that are gymnastics fans, Luke, and will never experience what it feels like to do a triple somersault. How do you know where the hell you are in the air?
Sometimes I don't know
if you used to
myself.
ask me that answer, I'm like, I'm not quite sure how I know that. It's like is it a feeling? Are you counting? Are your eyes open? Are your eyes closed? I've spoken to people before that say, yeah, I close my eyes in nearly every skill. I'm like, what? You close your eyes in every skill?
Never do that.
Like, I'm always like eyes open. When you're doing a triple back, what are you seeing? Is it you just know, you've done it enough times, you know where the floor is?
Yeah, it's one of them where it's just repetitions and you can't see nothing when you're spinning around that
And you're
quick.
not counting, you're not going 1, 2, 3.
No, well, you don't have the time, I don't think. You'd have to be counting pretty quick to do it. But yeah, it's all about the feeling. And I think I've done it that many times. Definitely on floor where if I get the right takeoff, I can really kick out and try land it. But other time, I know when you kind of watch other people, it kind of looks like the floor's hitting them a little bit. But yeah, definitely all about the feeling.
Has there ever been an occasion where it's gone wrong and you've missed a leg, or the takeoff's been wrong, or you've got lost, or anything like that?
I've never missed a leg or got lost, but there's times where I've definitely kicked out early and like landed pretty short and hurt the ankles. But yeah, no.
And is that something that you have to manage with that skill? Like just the load management on your feet and your ankles? Because I imagine, regardless of how well you perform at, you're going very high and it's a lot of force coming down on your ankles.
Yeah, you've definitely got to be aware of, especially how dangerous the skill is. Say on a routine day, if your legs are gone, maybe you've done all 6 apparatus, but maybe floors last, and your legs are gone, then it's not worth the risk. It's a dangerous skill, and you've got to be switched on to realise maybe, all right, today's not the day I kind of do that.
And on those days, Luke, what do you do? What's the B plan? What's plan B on those days where you get round? And also, how difficult is it, the mental game, to know whether, right, today I really shouldn't do this, or no, come on, you've got to dig deep and push through it. And that walking that line.
There's definitely them days. And there's been times where maybe I'm not feeling like I can do a triple back, but I know I'm at a certain point in prep where I need to be doing it. And you do the triple back and you're like, all right, now I know if my legs are like that, then I can still do the skill.
And is that decision normally driven by you, Luke? Would you turn to your coach and say, what do you think? I'm feeling this way.
Yeah, there's definitely times, I know Dave even recently, he's like, watch me warm up, and he's like, if you don't feel like you can do it today, that's fine. And then there's times where I've turned around and been like, nah, like, I'm up for this. Like,
right, okay. Yeah, and so sometimes that, the coach can't feel how you feel, right?
Yeah.
But there are some times where they can obviously...
little indicators.
They can observe something.
Say I'm doing my warm-up, I do like a round-off high straight back. Maybe if I'm leaning too far back, or maybe I do that twice. There's little signs that maybe the coaches know that it's not quite how I warm it up normally.
How important is that then, Luke, if you're competing in a Team GB setting? How important is it that you have a lot of time with the coaches there so that they can pick up on those signs? Because I always found that quite challenging. There'd be times where I go away and Sergey knew me like the back of his hand, so he would potentially say, not today, leave that.
Yeah.
But if I'm there, I'm thinking, I can't 50-50 this. I'm either going for it or I'm not going for it. And if the coach doesn't know me that well, they're not going to be sure either. And they're almost asking me, what do you think? And that's difficult when you're in very pressured situations to know what the right... Because you second guess yourself sometimes, don't you?
Yeah, a little bit. There's never really been a time where I felt like that. I've worked really close with Baz in my senior career, so me and Baz have got like a really good relationship. So I think he knows me pretty well. He knows my gymnastics pretty well, and he can definitely tell if maybe I'm not there on that day.
Are there any situations you've had, and this is maybe going to be something that might play out in the next few years, Luke, as you start to push all around and you want to be a key player in that team setting, and you go off to do maybe 4-way matches or these small like friendly competitions? I remember in 2011, I think, the Germans had a very strong team, and they had like a team of individuals that were doing ridiculous gymnastics. And Marcel Nguyen at the time was doing very, very well. And he was competing in a like a friendly competition on an old floor, and he was doing a triple double, like first tumble on a floor that was, it's not like the floors now, it's like rock solid. Probably the same floor you would have had in Halifax. So he was doing his triple double and he snapped his leg. And I can remember thinking, why were you doing that at that competition while you're trying to do all round? And maybe that's a thing where moving forwards, if you're doing more of a focus on the all round and you're doing big skills on multiple apparatus, you're gonna have to like factor that in and juggle that in. Do you think that's just a case of, again, learning more about yourself and what you can handle in an all around setting?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, in an all-round situation and different environments, if the floor's not great, I've always got a different routine that I can do.
What is that different routine, Luke? Because I've not really seen you do that. Like, if you weren't to do a triple back, do you have like another or is it like triple back or nothing?
It depends. I could change the routine round, so maybe the double doubles at the start.
Okay, and you just switch and you just leave the triple back out.
Say the British champs, where I had my bad heel.
Yeah.
I kind of needed to do the triple back, or the rest of the routine wouldn't have been enough to kind of get the start value.
Right. Okay.
So it's kind of, I got them two big skills at the start, but then the second half of the routine's pretty easy. But yeah, if I went to a competition or a Bundesliga or a four-way team, like, you know, you make the right decision and not doing it on maybe a floor that's not good enough.
Tell me about that first Europeans then, Luke, when you won your first gold medal. What was that experience like? What do you remember about it? Obviously, you were very young at the time when you went and did that. I'm sure it was a different experience to the gold medal that you won this year. What was that like to win your first gold medal at the Europeans?
Yeah, so it was incredible. That whole week, just being part of that team, we got the bronze medal, which was my first kind of major medal with a bit of a different team compared to what kind of people usually saw, with people being injured and stuff, which kind of gave me the opportunity to step up into that team. And I think the floor, at this point in my career, like, I knew I could be the best on floor. I had the routine that was there. I can't remember where I qualified, actually. I think it wasn't near the top. I think it was like 7th maybe. But from qualification to then the final, there was something in my mind that was like, I can win this. I don't know if other people, maybe the people back home, realised that, or maybe it was a bit of a surprise for people for me to win that medal, but I definitely believed that I could do it. And honestly, I can't really remember what I was thinking going through that routine, but when I landed the triple twist at the end, I knew it was going to be a pretty good score.
And how much do you think competing on the World Cup circuit in the couple of years building up to that helped you learn how to compete in a final? Because I think sometimes people surprisingly make a final.
Yeah.
It's such a different thing being in a final where there's 8 people to go. You may be competing with some of your like people you've looked up to your whole career. The pressure's on. Maybe you get a touch on the apparatus or you don't. You do now, but back then you probably didn't.
Yeah.
What's that? How much did that World Cup circuit help you prepare? So you were in that moment, you went, I know how this works because I've done this a few times already in a World Cup circuit, and you were able to just go out and execute.
It definitely helped a lot. I've done quite a few World Cups. And I think one of the main things is just that warm-up. I know my first World Cup, I can't remember if I was in the second half of the warm-up and Andy was asking, like, you think you should go and warm up? And I was kind of like, nah, I don't need to. But then I think I was last up and my legs didn't really feel like they were there. So looking back, I wish I would have gone and done that warm-up. But yeah, I think I can take a lot of confidence from my World Cups onto the other competitions.
Do you feel like it's important for young gymnasts, Luke, to make their mistakes in those environments, whether it's World Cups, if you're selected to represent Great Britain, or whether you want to manufacture that yourself by going to Germany and France and competing in league matches?
Yeah.
Do you think you have to learn how to compete? There's like a skill of competing, and figuring out the warm-ups and how you best perform, it's better to be prepared for when you get your opportunity, so you take it, rather than you turn up, you make your mistake at that big competition, and then all of a sudden you've got the label of, he doesn't perform under pressure.
Yeah, so that's one thing I was going to say. Like, I got that opportunity. If you get that opportunity, you've got to take it. You might not get a second chance with an opportunity like that. So, yeah, the World Cups are a good place to make mistakes, but at the same time, like, you've kind of got to show that you're going out there to get medals and stuff. Yeah,
you've got to. It is an opportunity, but you've
still got to.
You've got to prove yourself to get the chance to do it again, right?
Yeah.
Like it's constantly just proving yourself, isn't it, to the selectors? It's basically a game of showing them this is why I should be in the team for the whole of your career. Yeah. Take me then through to 2024, Luke. Start of that year, what headspace are you in? Because if I'm honest, I don't think many people put you on that Olympic team in 2024 at all. But is that in your head, quietly?
Yeah, it's definitely in my head.
Even at the beginning of the year, before the Europeans plays out?
Yeah. Well, I had a pretty tough start to the year. I was ill at the start of the year. I had some injuries, and I didn't have the greatest start to the year. I went to a couple World Cups and messed up in both of them. So I thought, my chances of going to the games is kind of over now. But I think it was the English champs and British champs. I did well in the all round at the English champs, and then the British champs I did okay, and I kind of, for that Europeans, was selected as a reserve, which gave me that another opportunity. And as a reserve, I went out to Doha to do a World Cup. All my routines were ready in case I needed to go to that Europeans. And when I was out there, I got a text off, I think it might have been Baz, but then after the floor final where I won my medal, Paul rang me up and he said, unfortunately, Max is have to withdraw from the competition, but we want you to step in and come and do your floor routine.
In that, when you get off that phone with Paul, what are you then thinking? Are you thinking, right, this is it, I've got a shot here? Like, realistically, they're still putting Max on the team, no matter what, because he's built that leverage up, right?
Yeah. So
I'm having to take a spot from someone else. What's going through your head at that point?
Yeah, I knew going to that Europeans that would be that one opportunity to get me on that Olympic team. And
it's weird, isn't it? Because you know that, and everybody else on that team knows that, but you don't talk about it.
Yeah.
But you're also competing as a team to try and do well as a team. It's such a strange dynamic, isn't it? Like, it's mentally very draining, isn't it, to be constantly at that level?
Yeah. So for that competition, I was actually in the specialist spot. So James moved into the team, and I moved into the specialist spot. And I did floor, vault, and P-bar. So I did my Dragolescu on vault, which I kind of needed for selection. I knew if I did that vault, it'd help the team. And then, floor. Just that whole experience from not getting on the team to then getting put on the team due to circumstances, and then flying straight from Doha to Italy to join the team out there. And then to go out there and do what I did and secure that gold medal back-to-back it was just incredible.
What do you do, Luke, to switch off and keep calm? In those, again, people at home, I'm sitting there watching you perform on the TV for a couple of hours, but there are 24 hours in a day. There's 2 weeks before that. How are you switching off between training sessions, trying to calm things down? Because it's a very pressured situation, and if you stay at that heightened level of fight or flight all of the time, you're gonna be drained, and it just isn't gonna work.
Yeah, definitely just chilling out, watching stuff on TV, Netflix, stuff like that. Not really thinking too much about the competition. I know going into that final, I was really excited. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna do this. And Baz was just like, calm down. What's meant for you is coming for you, and just not want that medal, kind of not want it too much, let it come to you. And
are you the type of gymnast, Luke, that is like watching everything, reading everything, seeing everything, or you switch off? No, I just
a
do
little
my
bit
own
of
thing?
both, to be fair.
Okay.
I remember definitely I was last up in that Europeans, so I watched every single routine. And when I put my arm up, I knew it needed to be a good routine to get the medal. And I went through the routine. It was quite steady, quite a clean routine actually. And when I landed, I thought I'd done it. And then waiting for that score to come through, and then the score coming up. Hearing the commentator say like, Luke Whitehouse, European champion, was just, yeah.
And when you'd done that, Luke, and you'd won that gold medal, in your head, are you thinking, I'm going? Are you hearing any conversations that you're overhearing people that's giving you an idea that, okay, maybe I'm going to be selected in this moment? Now, I say that because like I've been in that situation where I've felt like I'm going. Then I've heard conversations to make me think, I'm not sure now.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, are you that confident after that you're... Because I would say personally, I was still going, they won't pick him.
Yeah.
I didn't put you in my team, and I said that like on this podcast, not because I didn't think you were good enough.
Yeah.
I was like, nah, they're not. They'll go with experience. Like, this is the way they're gonna go. So when I did see that team, I was like, whoa.
Still till...
Not that I would argue with it, because I go, well, on paper, you can't. He's a double back-to-back European floor champion, and if you're going for medals, he's got as good a chance as anybody to win as a medal.
It could have gone either way, but...
Were you proper 50-50 in your head, I guess, when you're waiting for that phone call is what I'm asking?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was still 50-50. But, you hear things, hear people talking, but I kind of take it with a pinch of salt.
And have you learned to do that now throughout your career? Like, there's a lot of noise and chatter and stuff, isn't there? But actually, you have to drown all that out. And until you've had the call to say, yep, you're going, everything else is just kind of noise, isn't it?
There's always talk and stuff, but until you've got that phone call, until you've got that confirmation, like, until you're even out at that competition, then you're not on that team kind of thing.
And when you competed on those 3 pieces, Luke, at the Europeans, were all 3 of those pieces an important part of that puzzle? And why I ask that is, when you went to the Olympics, did you compete Dragulescu at the Olympics?
Yeah.
You did? Okay,
yeah.
So that was pretty important in terms of team selection.
I competed the drag at the Doha World Cup, and I competed at the European Championships. And I think if I didn't do the Dragulescu, I think it probably would have swayed the other way, me not being on the team.
Okay.
But because I had that as well to back me up, I think that's kind of what maybe made the decision that, yeah, we can put Luke forward because we can have him to go on vault as well. And
then you get that phone call and you're on the team. What was that like? What was that experience like of finding out you're going to become an Olympian?
The Olympics is something that I've dreamt of since being a little boy, so to get that call and get the confirmation that I'm going, it was a bit of a relief because it was 50-50, but then like going to tell my parents was just so special. Kind of like a dream come true for them as well, just because of the hours that they've been taking me to competitions, driving to the gym, and yeah.
What is it about the Olympics, Luke? Most people are never going to go, right? And you get to go to a Europeans nearly every year, Worlds nearly every year, apart from an Olympic year. You've now competed at all of that level. Is it different at Olympic Games? Is it special? And how much does that make you want to try to go again in 3 years' time?
It definitely is, The Olympics is the pivotal of sport. It's the best of the best. The best athletes from around the world are going. And you're kind of part of that. And it's incredible. The feeling of being part of that team and doing it for Great Britain, doing it for the country, the whole country are behind you while you're out competing, getting sent videos of thousands of people watching you on big screens. It's so special. And yeah.
What was your experience of competing in a team final like in Paris? It's a different energy, isn't it, competing in a team final, particularly in that environment? Yeah,
it's definitely different. You feel the pressure. And I know on rings especially, I was kind of rolling out my triple back a lot. So when I when I landed the triple back in the 3-up-3 to count, like, just the relief and the excitement all comes out straight away because you know you've done your job for the team.
What was it like as a young gymnast, Luke, competing with all of these guys on your team, competing with Max, knowing that Max, this is his last Olympic Games? You know, he's one of the most successful Olympians we've ever had, let alone gymnasts in this country. What was it like being in that? Were there any moments at the Olympic Games where you were like, is this kind of real? This is very surreal, this whole experience.
Max was one of my childhood heroes, so to go to the Olympics with him was surreal. I've got a picture, I think it was 2013 British Champs, and me and my dad were sat next to his brother and Max's family, and after the competitions I got a picture holding all of Max's medals. So we replicated that picture at the Olympics, and just to see, like, for the little kids out there, like, it is possible. Like, maybe you look up to me, you look up to Harry, you look up to your favourite gymnast, maybe one day you will be there with them.
What was it like watching him prepare for that Olympic Games and the years leading up that you'd seen him, been around him? You know, I imagine you have aspirations of getting to the very top, being a world and Olympic gold medalist.
Yeah.
What did you learn from seeing Max operate at that level, and what's that taught you about what it takes to get to that level?
Yeah, you know, Max I think he's very different to a lot of other gymnasts. He's very, maybe like robotic. Not robotic, but he just goes and does his things. He knows what he's doing. Maybe he does a routine, sits down, chalks up again and does routines. But the way that Max did it back to back to back as well, like, it's just incredible, the kind of consistency that Max had. And
you've learnt that, you know, at that level, to be the very best. One thing that I think people maybe wouldn't be, he just trained harder than everybody else, just did more numbers. It was like that simple. Like, if you were doing 2 pommel routines, he's doing 5. Yeah, and he's doing all round. But people don't see that because you think Olympic champion got to be naturally talented, and he had some like incredible natural gifts, but I don't think he always gets the recognition for how hard he worked.
It's all down to hard work. Like, there's a lot of talented gymnasts out there, but if you don't have the hard work with it, then you're never going to get to that level. So, yeah, it's all about hard work.
When you come back from... Oh, no, let's talk about the floor final a little bit, Luke, because I was somebody that I was, like, venting to Sam about this. I was convinced you were getting the gold medal. I was like, they're going to give it him. And I probably got sucked into, like, the romantic side of, like, following somebody from your own country. But the contradiction between the way the rule was applied to me, I was like, what? If they're not giving him his double front, then why they're giving that to him, and then why they're being so harsh on that? Just tell me about the floor final and how you felt afterwards. And having watched it back now, how do you feel a year later about that?
Yeah, so the floor final, I was going up near the end again, and these big scores were coming through. So I knew that I needed to do the routine in my life to get a medal. And yeah, I went up, did my routine, triple back was good, double twist, double front was low. And I knew it was low at the time, but I was like, just focus on the routine. Did the rest of the routine, and it was a good routine. And I knew it would be a good score, but in my mind I was still like, if they do take that deduction, then it'll be down. But because of what happened previously, I thought maybe if they're not applying the rule there, then maybe they won't apply it with me. But they did, and the score came through, and it wasn't meant to be. But
it's one of them. I think our sport, mate, is a sport that we had a conversation once with a judge, and he said, "Who decides the Olympic champion?" And me being like me was like, the gymnast decides, and he was like, no, the judge decides.
Yeah.
And it's very complicated, but it's one of those things where, you know, we did an episode recently on the 2004 Olympic Games where we spoke with a guy called Mike Canales, who's like a gymnastics genius in terms of his knowledge and what he knows about the sport. And he worked with Paul Hamm, and at that competition, the Korean gymnast was given a 9-9 start and actually should have been given a 10. But because it was after the fact, he was technically the Olympic champion. He didn't get the Olympic gold medal. And it is one of those things in gymnastics where, because there were a couple of instances at the Olympic Games, there was with the girl on floor, right, where they had to go back and award the medal. And I just think when you're on the biggest stage of all, like, everything's just got to be completely transparent, and it's got to be the same the whole way through.
I think you just got to do what you do the routine, perform it to the best of your ability, and whatever the judges decide, decide.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? And there's I think there's an element of freedom in that I do my routine, and what gets decided gets decided. That's not up to me. And actually, that's quite freeing. And if you get pulled into, why didn't they give me this score, that score, or whatever? Because I remember the same judge that had said that years before, when I was 18, I'd competed I was in the bar final at the Europeans when I was 18, and I did a great routine. And I split my leg on my squat half. And afterwards at the banquet, came up to me and was like, you should have won the bronze medal. Like, I was like, why didn't you give it me then? What? That makes no sense. Like, and I think at that point I started to clock on to the fact that our sport isn't just if the goal crosses the line. Yeah. It's up to interpretation.
It's a judge sport. It's not first across the line wins.
So it's that overwhelming success again, isn't it? You can't rely on somebody else making that decision. You have to give yourself the best possible chance. But even if you do everything and you do a great routine, it doesn't always mean that you're going to get what you want out of it. So maybe the lesson there for young gymnasts is that make sure that the reason you're doing it isn't just for that medal. Because
that's one thing I definitely, after the Olympics, even before the Olympics, but it's just enjoy the journey, enjoy the process of constructing that routine, trying to perfect that routine. And when you do get to competition, just go out there and enjoy it. Like, this is what you've done all the work for. Just enjoy it and show off that routine.
Do you feel like you can do that, Luke? Or do you feel like that's a thing that people say and you're trying to trick yourself into thinking that? Does that make sense? Because everybody says that, right? Everyone says just enjoy the process and enjoy the experience of it. But the reality is, we all know you want to win that medal as much as that next guy wants to win it. So is that a way of combating all of the pressure and the other stuff? Or is there actually there's a lot of truth in that, and if you can get to the point where you genuinely enjoy the journey, you have a far better experience?
I think it definitely is. Definitely this Europeans, me, and I'd say the whole team, the preparation we had, we all just had fun. Like, it was enjoyable. We put the numbers in, we stuck to the programme, but we enjoyed the process of that.
And when you do that, I think there's a lot of people that think, this guy came up to me at a barbecue once, and this was when all the stuff was going on with the Me Too stuff in women's gymnastics, like a long time ago. And he said, this stuff with that doctor in America, like in Simone Biles, it's just because it's hard work, innit? They just can't hack the hard work. And I looked at him like, what are you talking? And this is someone from the outside, and I think people potentially hear, we just had loads of fun and prepared, and they think fun means less work, but that isn't true, is it? Like, you're definitely you spoke about that preparation. You're still doing the numbers. It's just that your mindset is switched from this is pressure, intense. Like, I hate every moment of this, to I'm so grateful to be able to do this. This is amazing. We're like the best gymnasts in the country. We get to do this incredible sport. We're still doing the work, but the way I approach the work isn't. It's from a positive place.
I think if anything, we probably did more work and more quality work as well, I feel like.
And sometimes when you're in that negative mindset, you just want to get it done and get out. Yeah. There's definitely that, and I've definitely been there at times. Just to finish off then, mate, it's been a great conversation. We've got to talk about, winning the third gold medal, what that looks like. I put a post up a couple of weeks ago and said that, it's always the most difficult to qualify. Because if you don't qualify, you've got no chance of achieving that in the first place. And you're very aware, right, that people are talking about, can he go 3 back-to-back? How did you drown out that noise in those weeks leading up, and then throughout the week while you were there and into the competition? Or did you not do that? Did you bring it all in and use it as a positive motivation?
I think I just used it as a positive motivation. I think people wanted me to do it as much as I wanted it myself. And the preparation, it's not a funny story, but a story from preparation, literally my last routine of preparation at Lilleshall. On my last tumble, I kind of whipped off the floor and landed pretty horrible. And so my ankle swelled up. I thought it was game over. I thought, what have I done? I've wasted all my prep for nothing. I'm not going to be able to do the 3-time back-to-back. But Lou at British Gymnastics and then Jill at Leeds calmed my ankle down, went out, did the competition, obviously won the gold, and wasn't until maybe last week I still had a bit of swelling in my ankle, so decided to get an MRI scan, and it turns out I actually had a fracture at the bottom of my shin bone.
Wow.
So, yeah, just incredible.
What does that teach you, Luke, or what have you learnt there from, you never want someone to go and compete on an injury, right? But you did that unintentionally.
Yeah.
What does that show you? Because I often say to like young gymnasts and also just people in my life, like, you don't get to stand in front of the judges and say, by the way,
Yeah.
I injured my ankle 2 weeks ago. It was a bad landing. I've had to ice it every night. It's really swollen. So if it doesn't go that well, just be nice and give me a good score. You don't get to do that, do you? And if everybody got to do that, everybody would have one of those stories. Yeah. I think people look at what you've done and go, God, he must have felt perfect. And it must have been, everything must have just come right at the right time. But it's just never the case, is it?
Definitely not the case. And especially this Europeans, that's the most icing, the most compression, the most things I've ever done to try settle that ankle. It's literally a miracle that it settled that quickly to be able to actually compete on it. And
were there any moments in that build-up you were like, maybe I can't do this, maybe I need to, or was it, because you're there at Europeans doing a team event, I imagine there could have been a decision to maybe not do floor or not do vault or like rest that ankle. Was that just never a case? Like, was it not that bad that you wouldn't not do it? What was the pain management like, going into that?
No, it was pretty bad. I mean, there wasn't a time where I was like, I'm not competing, but it was definitely at the beginning. I'd done all that work, all that preparation. I felt really good. And at the last hurdle, I'd just gone and done that. And it's kind of like, you do all this work, but for what? So yeah, there was maybe like a day or so where I was a bit down, I was a bit maybe negative, but the people around me, especially Baz as well, helped me navigate that and get back to kind of where I was.
And how important is that conversation in your head that you're having at that time, Luke? Like, how quickly do you have to like drown out? You've got like those two devils that sit on your shoulder, right? And the one's going, the flight one is going, oh, come on, maybe you don't have to do this. You can like rest it. It's fine. You've got 3 years left. And the other one's going, no, come on, you can still do this. Like push through. How important is that conversation inside your head? Because everybody has one, right? But it's not something that people talk about much.
Yeah, it's definitely important. And one of the things that Baz told me about to try mentally was like the 5 pillars. And there was 5 different things that you had to write down, things that you were grateful for, what you're going to do for yourself tomorrow, things like that. And it really did help with just the mindset kind of thing, to be like, okay, there is a issue with the ankle, but there's things we can do to navigate it.
Yeah. And then just take me through that routine then, mate. I know you obviously competed in the all-around as well. And you did very well in the qualifying, and you did really well in qualifying. Did you qualify 3rd all round?
Yeah.
So that must have been a big achievement for you with aspirations of competing in the all around. I'm sure that gave you a big confidence boost.
It definitely did. That team competition was the most fun, the most enjoyable comp I've done, to do it with them lads, and to watch Jonas and Jamie get their first major medals was so special as well. And yeah, to do it with Jonas, I've trained with him since we trained in Halifax, and to see see Jonas so excited. I'm sure you've seen all the posts on social media, but yeah, and just the way I competed, I felt super calm, super confident, and there wasn't really a doubt in my mind at all that I wouldn't go through the routines.
And then when you move into the all-around final, do you feel like having the opportunity to do another floor routine helped going into the final, Luke?
Yeah, definitely did. I think I started on floor, so it kind of put a little bit more pressure on, so you kind of...
It's almost replicating the final, isn't it?
Yeah,
Because
a
you've not done
little
any
bit.
other apparatus before that.
Yeah, so I hit that floor routine. I think I was second after that in the first rotation. And then, I messed up on pommel, slipped off. But then I did a really nice rings routine, which I was really proud about. And then I got to vault and landed a little low, so kind of made the decision that I wasn't going to do my triple pike off high bar. Kind of wasn't worth the risk with the floor final being the next day. And then, just refocused. I think it's difficult after maybe you don't kind of have the competition that you kind of want to have. It's hard to snap out of it and refocus, especially when you've got a big competition the next day as well.
Do you feel like going into the floor final and having the fracture in your shin that you didn't know about, in a way it gave you something else to focus on, so you kind of forgot about the winning 3 times in a row? Do you know what I mean? Because I imagine that's your focus, like making sure your ankle's okay so you can compete. Was it in some ways like a good distraction or not? Do you feel like it just didn't help? It made everything a lot harder.
To be honest, I didn't really think about my ankle at all.
Okay.
I was doing everything I could after the competitions and during maybe the recovery to get that ankle as good as it could be. And during the competition, there wasn't actually that much swelling in the ankle, so I had full range and things like that. So when I was actually competing, it probably wasn't actually an issue mentally. So I don't think that kind of made a difference.
And then just take me through your routine, mate. What was going through your head as you went through all your tumbles? I know you obviously start with those first 2 tumbles, having a couple of big steps. At that point, you spoke about having that switch moment.
Yeah.
Just take me through your routine and what you remember from competing in it. I guess it's the freshest routine that you've done, right? So in some ways you can't remember maybe the first and the second, but this one maybe you remember a little bit more.
Yeah, so I remember the triple back taking off. It didn't spin as much as I wanted it to, so I was kind of pulling in to get it round, and I landed a bit chest low, step forward. I was like, right, focus for this next tumble. Double twist, double front, took, I think, a hop, and then another hop. I was like, I don't know, what am I doing? Stick some tumbles. So then, when I turned into that corner ready to do my 2.5, just something switched in my brain. I was like, right, I need to stick these tumbles or you're not going to get the opportunity to win this gold medal. And after that, I was kind of just in flow state, just going through the routine, and then got to the double-double. I think a little bit thinking I need to stick this. And I stuck it. And I think that's what made the difference, really, that stick bonus and giving that final impression to the judges that was a quality routine. Yeah,
it was interesting because we were seeing that new rule of the stick bonus play out.
I think it's good. I like it.
I like it as well. Like, I was on the broadcast with Beth Tweddle, and she didn't really like it because she was like, no, you should be trying to stick all the time. And I was like, Beth, maybe like you're forgetting that you've got like 6 European titles and you're like triple world champion. Like, when you're in a training situation, you're not always sticking. It takes a long time to get to a point where you're prepared enough to stick a tumble. Like, I like the fact that you add that bonus in for sticking. It's not going to stop anyone from doing harder gymnastics.
No.
I think it just adds another layer I think it's exciting for the crowd as well.
Yeah, I think it is, especially if they know it's a rule, and if you stick they know if you stick your dismount, even if you haven't had a great routine, but you stick your dismount, they're gonna think it's a good routine.
Like, for people watching, they understand the stick, don't they?
Yeah.
It's like one of the things, like, gymnastics is so confusing, but one thing people understand is if you land without moving your feet, that's a good thing.
So that's like at the Olympics, the double twist, double front, I stuck it, but I landed low. So the people that don't really know gymnastics, that's why they were all saying, like, oh, you should have won the gold.
Yeah.
But because they don't know that rule.
Did you hear anything after the Olympics about what was going on with the judges? Because I heard that the judges wanted to go back on something and it all got very confusing with Carlos. Do you not? Do you not know?
I've no
So
idea,
I heard
no.
that like afterwards, and I also, that just makes me think. Sometimes I'm concerned that they don't want to look, because the Olympics is the biggest stage of all. If they make a mistake at the Olympics, it's in front of everybody, and I do worry sometimes that like things are like brushed off.
Maybe I think they are bringing in. I think
we're definitely gonna get
AI.
Yeah, we're gonna get towards AI.
Yeah, there'll be a
aren't we?
stage of that, but I don't think it should be completely relying on that. There should be a factor of that to double check.
That's what I was going to
certain
ask,
things.
because obviously VAR's come into football, and
Yeah, you don't want
people
it
don't
too
like
much.
it, right?
Yeah.
But so it's interesting. I think for me, I always steer towards like things being as black and white as possible. So you just know if I do the best performance, I get the result I'm going to get.
Yeah.
But it's been amazing, mate, and it was amazing to see you achieve that. The first British gymnast ever, like we said, to win 3 individual titles on an apparatus. Only the second gymnast ever to do that on floor. So that took a long time going back to find that.
Yeah.
I was on the broadcast and I was like, when was the last time? And I found the Italian gymnast that had done it in the 60s.
Have you watched his routine?
I haven't, no. Is it on YouTube, is it?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, wow.
It's a lot different to
Really?
what gymnastics is now.
What
Yeah.
kind of skills does he do in that routine? Do you
Just
remember?
like forward drop, like it's completely. I'll show
Really?
you afterwards.
Oh, okay,
but it's
I'll watch
completely
that. I
different.
would enjoy watching that. Yeah, the evolution of a sport is
Yeah.
incredible, isn't it? Like, even in a time in which that I've been retired or was competing at the Olympic Games or the highest level, like, just the difficulty is just going through the roof. And I don't think that's going to stop. I don't see it slowing down.
I think with these shorter routines as well, you've got to pack in the difficulty, and then on top of that, you've got to do a big dismount, because the big dismount is what gets you a big bonus now.
And it's great for the crowd, isn't it? They get to see exciting gymnastics. What are your plans moving forward, Luke? You know, we spoke a little bit about the things that come once you've got that overwhelming success. Are you starting to see that come in now? Are you getting people approach you, sponsors, agents, that kind of thing? Are you seeing that? And what have you learned about navigating that? Because that in itself is a challenge as well, right? Like, all of a sudden you're this thing that people want a piece of, but you still need to concentrate on the thing that got you there in the first place, which is the training. But now you're going to have to give your time to other things.
I think it's...
How do you manage that and navigate that? Is it a new thing that you're experiencing, you're trying to figure out? You know, I was there at the gym with you a few weeks ago. You're a supporter there with Fabian. Like, this stuff's happening because you're doing great things, right?
Yeah, so it is, and you've got to be wary of them distractions, but you've got to have people around you that you can trust. I've had a lot of conversations with different people, and my dad's helped kind of navigate that with me, and kind of working with Blue Carpet Sports Management now.
Okay.
So yeah, I'll see how that goes, and yeah, I'm excited for the future. Just keep doing what I'm doing.
It's exciting me. I think the only advice I'd give you is that, you know, when I look back now at when I was 19, 20, 21, I just didn't make the most of it. I was like, I had all of at that point in time, I had youth on my side.
Yeah.
I had the medals and the success and all these experiences, and I said no to lots of them because I was like, I can't miss a day of training. But I think if you're very professional and very organised, and your time's managed well, and you've got people around you that will always tell you the truth, I think that's the way to go, and you should take full advantage of it, because your career doesn't last long in sport. You know, it's a fickle place, and things change like that. And you got to make sure that you make the most of those experiences and take them on. What's your plans for the future, Luke? Like, what's your hopes for the rest of this year? You know, you're just about to go to the World Student Games. How's your preparation gone? What are your expectations going out there? I guess it's a chance for you to test yourself against the world before you go to hopefully get selected for the World Championships at the end of the year. Yeah,
so preparation's been going really well. Super excited to go out there. It'll be a bit of a different team again. It's obviously students, university students that going out there. The whole Japanese team will be like their big Olympic team, so it'll be good to go out there and compete against them and see how I match up against them. And then, the floor, obviously I want to go out there and win it. But then, going, fingers crossed I get selected for the World Championships at the end of the year. Obviously the dream's to become world champion on floor. Yeah, and you've got every chance of doing that, mate. If you keep doing what you're doing great. What do you think you have to do, Luke, in the next 3 years to make sure that you're on that plane to LA
LA is going to be big, right? Like, the excitement is going to be through the roof. Yeah, everything in America is just supersized, and it's going to be the same. And I think with I can't imagine Simone's not going to compete. So the fact that she'll be the biggest sports star on the planet in the sport of gymnastics, that's going to bring in so much attention to the sport. The American men are obviously doing very well, and they're going to do their best to win that medal again. And I think they're probably going to try and go one or two places higher too. What do you think you have to do to be on that plane? And what do you think GB has to do to try and win that team medal? You know, we've not won it now since 2012. We've come very close multiple times in a row. What do you think is going to make that difference?
Personally, for me, being on that team, keep doing what I'm doing. I think I've made a lot of progress so far this year on maybe my weaker apparatus like the high bar. I've got the big dismount, nearly ready to put a Coleman in the routine, which will boost that start value. Team-wise, I just think keep doing what we're doing. I think the European Championships and the way we're prepared for that competition, it's maybe different compared to how I've maybe prepared for a competition before. And I think if we do that, we've hit the ground running with the first competition of the year, of the cycle, sorry. So keep building on what we've been doing as a team, and I truly believe that we can go out there and get that medal.
Are there any youngsters that you're watching at the moment, Luke, that you've got your eye on that you think will play a role over this cycle and the build up to LA? Because, you know, we've chatted to a lot of people that are now competing or are retired, but there will be gymnasts that are training right now in a gym like you were back in 2016 that will be seniors by the time LA comes around. And I personally feel that the new code is going to benefit them a lot because they don't have to jump to 10 skills.
Yeah.
They stay at 8. So they could almost have senior routines ready while they're still juniors.
Yeah. I mean, even for me, when in 2022, no one thought I would be in that 2024 Olympic team. So, but yeah, looking at the juniors coming up, they're doing some incredible gymnastics, and that just kind of keeps you more motivated. It makes you want to keep training hard, keep doing what you're doing, and because they're chasing, they know that they want that spot, and yeah, they're talented kids.
What do you see from that generation, Luke? Because they're a different generation to you, and I think generations get labelled with different, you know, whether it's this generation are lazy and they don't do the work and they want the success but they're not prepared to put in what it takes to get there. What do you see from this next generation coming through?
To be honest, I haven't been around them at squads with them to kind of see how they train, but the skills they're doing.
It's the talent that stands out, and I see a lot of skills that I'm like,
incredible.
This is wild, like what you're doing.
Like when I was their age, to be fair, they're doing skills that I don't even do now, so...
Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it, how much the sport moves on. Luke, thank you so much, mate. It's been a pleasure. I wish you all the best for the World Student Games and the rest of the year. And we're going to be following your journey closely. And yeah, I'm sure we'll do this again in the future, mate. So thank you very much for giving me your time.
Cheers,
Top man.